or thought about the acquisition of the #1 free agent this offseason. Thank you so much, Ian Rappaport, for giving us that info and those names to keep an eye on, as we'll be breaking it down all morning right here on NFL Network. More from Rap Sheet ahead, but Peter, what do you got?
Yeah, this predates Adam Gase, first of all. I think this goes back to last offseason when they were in the Kirk Cousins sweepstakes and were very publicly offering Kirk Cousins more money than the Vikings and couldn't land him. Jerick McKinnon, they were offering money in the Niners. He said it was a better place to go to the Niners. It felt like the indecisiveness and the inability to close was an issue. You go through the season, and Todd Bowles was maybe the most beloved guy in the league. You won't find anyone who says a negative word about Bowles. There were articles in the New York Daily News suddenly leaking out information about there were certain players that Maccagnan would have drafted. Alvin Kamara, he would have drafted, but Bowles was the reason why they didn't get Kamara. That rubbed people in the building really wrong, because where does that come from? It didn't come from Bowles and his side, and it certainly didn't come from the owner. So there was already this brewing feeling of that. So why didn't they get rid of him in January when they fired the head coach? Because they said, you know what? Let's give this another shot. We got $100 million in free agency. We got the #3 overall draft pick. And Christopher Johnson wanted to rely on Mike Maccagnan and his NFL savvy to say, let's meet some of these different coaching candidates. They went on a whirlwind tour. They flew out and they met with coaches. They flew out to Baylor and met with Matt Rule. They hosted Cliff Kingsbury here in New York.
Right.
They went out and they met with Mike McCarthy. Maccagnan has been there by his side the entire time. Then you go through it and you hire Gase. Gase didn't pick Maccagnan. Maccagnan didn't pick Gase.
Okay.
The owner picked both of them. And at this point, it became a relationship. Let's see how we can work together. And they weren't working together in a synergistic way that was perfect for everyone. And it was being monitored by the owner. Like Ian said, this guy's been boots on the ground. So we keep on the outside saying, well, wait a second. We got all these players. The owner doesn't want to fire the GM. The owner doesn't want to admit that, hey, maybe I should have fired him in January, as he did in that soundbite. But when the owner is there for 5 months in the building, watching these two interact and watching how the coaching staff respects the general manager and watching how the players respond to the general manager, eventually it was just, let's rip the Band-Aid off and let's move on. Did they get great free agents? Yes. Do they have a full cupboard of new veteran players?
Yeah.
Yes. But how was the sausage made? And the question around the league was, if you gave me $100 million in a blank check and said, pay the linebacker, C.J. Mosley, $17 million, is that really a credit to the GM? Should we be patting him on the back? Or could anybody do that if you're going to pay the guy way above market value? Adam Gase is being painted as some tyrant right now and that he's the one ripping that. That's fair to say that, because Gase, obviously, if he wanted to stand up for Maccagnan, could have and said, no, don't fire my guy. But I think Gase would be a lot happier if it was one of his guys as well.
That makes sense. And I hear everything you're saying, especially what the league people might be saying. But if you're a Jets fan, you kind of feel like, what has Gase done to earn this right? You're talking about, what do you say, 5 months in the building? Not even 3 to 4 months in the building, Adam Gase. But he somehow has all the leverage coming off a season where back-to-back seasons weren't great. He had a great first year with the Dolphins, where he had a little bit of drama with Jarvis Landry, who was quoted as saying it was a bad environment. The Jay Ajayi stuff. There's a lot of things that didn't have knock-on right for Adam Gase. So if you're a Jets fan, you're thinking to yourself, what did he do to earn this? And I think if you're Adam Gase, you're thinking, just wait, watch. This is going to be a step forward, and I'm going to show you why. And I do like that Christopher Johnson, the CEO and chairman, has that faith in this guy.
He has an ultimate faith.
Ultimate, crazy.
I grew up in Chicago, Midwest sports fan, all right? Bulls games, Wrigley Field. Spent a long time on the West Coast. Dodgers games, Clippers, Lakers, whatever. This New York sports fan base is wild. There's nothing like it. I started the show saying, I don't understand the determined to be the self-loathing and all the gallows humor, almost like you hate that this happened, but you're happy. So since then, I went to the trending topic, and I tweeted at a Jets fan. I'm not going to say his name because he's got indecent stuff on his timeline. But I said, he had tweeted, worst morning ever, I can't take this team anymore. So I tweeted back at him, I said, why, you liked Mike Maccagnan? He replies, no, I hated Maccagnan, but I don't understand why this happened. Here's my point. Scoreboard. The roster is loaded. Did Quinnen Williams get cut this morning? Did Jamal Adams get traded to the Dolphins? Did Sam Darnold, did he retire? Guys, all that happened was, by all accounts, you won free agency. By all accounts, you nailed the draft. And all that's happened is you have fired a GM who at best had a spotty record, and you would have thought they dissolved the franchise right now. The team is the most talented they've been in a decade. Who cares if the GM is gone? His work is done. You got Quinnen. I think this is a great time to be a Jets fan. Stop worrying about whispers rumors and all that. The games are 5 months away.
You grew up in Chicago.
Yes.
You have Matt Nagy there. Let's say Ryan Pace made the same sort of moves, traded at the right time, traded up to get Sam Darnold, got Jamal Adams, made great moves, got the best free agents on the market and aced the draft.
Yeah.
And then they bring in Adam Gase and they fire Ryan Pace. How would you feel this week?
Ryan Pace did not draft Christian Hackenberg. He doesn't have the pockmarks that Maccagnan has. Maccagnan's record, objectively, there's no debate, is really bad. The rate of the guys he's drafted who are out of the league now is way above league average.
Kyle's saying the truth. And look, the Sam Darnold thing, I can't hear another person pat people on the back. They traded up 3 spots. They gave up about 4 second-round picks.
Yeah.
And from what I hear, Maccagnan was not the one saying, we got to trade up. Maccagnan, from what I'm told, was conservative with that and was like, let's wait till the draft. Let's see how this plays out. When they wanted decisiveness, just make a decision. And that's what kind of led to this demise here.
Yeah, I talk about it all the time. Success isn't just the players on the field, the guys in the helmets. It's also what happens behind that white line, and I mean those coaches. This speaks on the solidarity or the lack of solidarity from head coach to GM to ownership. But let me sidetrack for a second, though, because Ian reported on the possible GMs, very qualified individuals. And I'm just throwing this out there. This isn't coming from anywhere, just a fan of an individual. Daniel Jeremiah, could he be a guy that lands somewhere as a GM over the next couple years, given the fact that Mike Mayock this past season, I felt like did a tremendous job, and we'll see actually if the Oakland Raiders are better because of his decision-making. I'm just saying, move the sticks. My guy, one of the most intelligent minds in the business, he could land somewhere. I'm not saying the Jets are that landing spot.
We're hearing that, right?
Yeah, well, the connection, I'm not hearing that, actually. The connection is that Joe Douglas, who's with the Eagles, worked with Daniel for many years. So Daniel, I don't think, would be considered in a general manager's.
Daniel's a busy dude.
Daniel's busy.
His name was all around Twitter yesterday.
His name was all around Twitter, and that's fine. But there are a lot of candidates. I think that's the interesting thing here. I think everyone assumes Joe Douglas knows Adam Gase. It's not. The owner is not going to just pick Adam Gase's buddy.
Yeah.
They're going to interview candidates, black candidates, white candidates. They're going to do a full search on this thing. It's not going to be Adam Gase's old drinking buddy is going to get hired right away.
And let's be clear, this is New York, Schrags. Like, I know it's not the Giants, but this is a huge market. This is a coveted spot.
Yeah.
There's going to be a separation of church and state. Whoever gets this job is not going to get it because he's Adam Gase's pal.
Right.
Is Gase too hard to work with? Shouldn't they pick one of his pals?
And maybe, you know what? Maybe this gig isn't as coveted as it's want because Gase is a little difficult to work with, or at least the rumor is that.
Right.
Once they find their guy, Gase is going to have input, but he is not making this decision.
No doubt.
We've got our eyes on candidates all day long here on NFL Network, switching gears, but staying in the NFC East.
What you got?
Sorry, it's going to the NFC East to talk Cowboys here. Dak saying he wants to be a Cowboy for life. I mean, duh. Of course he does. Is he there till he retires, though, guys?
They usually are in Dallas.
He's very young, and he made the Pro Bowl in his rookie year. We have a guest on the show named Denzel Ward.
Hey,
the Browns corner is going to stop by and chop it up after this.
That was some draft pick when they announced Denzel Ward's name in Dallas. Wild.